our session yesterday on household water treatment and safe storage, alongside those of you who are joining us today, whether you're currently part of the Green Masterclass or joining us from our past alumni community. Thank you for being here and for your continued commitment to these important conversations. So to introduce myself, my name is Rakeb. I'm joining from Ethiopia, and I'm a chemical engineer by background. I work at the intersection of quality system and renewable energy, with particular passion for biogas and sustainable environmental solutions. I'm also serving as a Crust EcoNetwork ambassador for Ethiopia, and I'm truly honored to moderate today's session and continue this valuable discussion with all of you. So I'm hoping everyone has successfully completed the Municipal Solid Waste Management course and found it both informative and thought-provoking. So today's session is going to be just like yesterday's. It will be an opportunity for you to build on what you've learned throughout the course. And so we'll have a presentation from our facilitator who will share her additional insights. And then after the presentation, we'll open the floor for your questions. This is your opportunity to seek clarification and explore topics in more depth. So you're welcome to submit your questions in the chats throughout the session, or you can also raise your hand if you'd like to ask them directly. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our facilitator for today's session. I'm going to be giving a brief introduction for the people who were not there yesterday. Her name is Marisa Boller. Marisa is an environmental engineer and project manager at EWAG, working within the Department of Sanitation, Water and Solid Waste for Development, or SADC. Her work focuses on improving water supply, treatment, and quality management in rural and small town communities across Africa and Asia, where she collaborates with governments, utilities, NGOs, and local communities to develop practical and sustainable solutions. She has extensive experience in drinking water quality, chlorination, integrated water, sanitation, and solid waste management, as well as capacity strengthening. So in addition to her technical work, Marisa coordinates the Swiss Water Partnership Youth, a network that supports students and young professionals through mentorship, knowledge sharing, and youth-led initiatives in the water sector. So we're delighted to have her with us today, and I'm sure we'll all benefit from her knowledge and experience. Marisa, thank you for joining us today. Marisa, can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, thank you very much for this nice introduction, again, Rakeb. And I'm happy to be here again and to see some familiar names and maybe also new ones. But also from my side, welcome everyone again to this session.
Yes, thank you so much. So before we begin, I would like to inform everyone to keep their microphones muted. So if you want to speak, just raise your hand and we'll unmute you. And feel free to share your questions or comments in the chat throughout the session. Then after the presentation, we'll be discussing on that. So now the floor is yours, Marisa.
Great, thank you so much again for all of this, for organizing it, and I'm happy to be here and to focus this time on solid waste management. So maybe I'll start sharing my screen. Yes. So so I said today we'll have a look at the solid waste management MOOC that you have probably all done already, give you a couple of inputs. And one thing I wanted to mention is yesterday the session was on water, and I'm really more specialized on water. However, I did do some other work on solid waste management, also in Uganda, for example. I have been involved in an integrated project where we looked at water, sanitation, solid waste management. So yeah, I do work very closely with my waste management colleagues who unfortunately can't be here right now, but I will be replacing them as good as I can. So just for the ones that haven't been there yesterday, I'll give you a very brief introduction into EAVAG and specifically Sandek, who were leading the MOOC. So EAVAG is one of the largest, well, not largest, but leading water research institutes. And we try to bridge science and practice. So we do a lot of research, can be from freshwater to wastewater. And we work very closely with practitioners. So we do mostly research, but we also involve in teaching and consulting. And so Sandek is one of 12 departments at EAVAG, and we're the only one that are working globally. So we have partners across Africa, Asia, and Latin America, where we do research and capacity strengthening, and we provide also guidance documents, as you can see a couple of examples here. So we have 7 research groups. We focus on water, sanitation, solid waste management. And then there's the WASH Learning Lab, so water, sanitation, hygiene, but it also involves solid waste management. And we have our annual Sandek news where you can see some articles if you're interested. This is just to show you a quick map of all the projects we have been working on in the past 5 years. We were involved in 35 countries. You can also scan the QR code and you'll get a couple more details about that. And this is the team based in Switzerland. And we have also students, master and PhD students working with us. Now about the WASH Learning Lab. So we do WASH education globally. We have different projects. In the picture, you can see a collaboration with the Somalia National University, for example. But we also do innovation testing and research on WASH education. And so one of the flagship initiatives is the MOOCS series. And basically, we have already 200,000 learners globally in the past 10 years. And for this, for the Green Masterclass, you have been looking yesterday, we had a session on water, and today the waste management MOOC. There are 2 others. So if you're also interested in sanitation planning or fecal sludge management, these are also great courses. So with this, I will dive straight into looking at the MOOC of solid waste management. And again, similar to the water MOOC, it's also been just released, like a new version, reworked version with updated videos. So here I would like to also acknowledge Laura Velasquez, who is, you can see her on the picture below. She has been also leading the revamp of this MOOC. Unfortunately, she can't be here, but I'll try to walk you through the different modules and a couple of maybe clarifying questions you might have. So first, I want to start with an overview of the physical elements of solid waste. So one of the core frameworks that this course is based on is the Integrated Sustainable Waste Management Framework, and we'll walk through this a bit. But I really want to focus on the different components first, and specifically what is waste. So waste fractions. There are different waste fractions. Organics are quite common, especially in low and middle income countries. We have different types of recyclables, can go from plastic, paper, metals, glass, other fractions, and everything else what we call the residual waste. And all these waste types, they have different moisture contents, as you can see in this table here. So of course, organic waste has a very high moisture content. And this is very relevant, as you can see in this comparison here. Depending on where you are, the waste generated can be different. The density and water content can be different. So if we look at specifically low-income countries, we see that in general, the waste generated is slightly lower, but it has a much higher density and higher organics and moisture content. So much more of the waste generated is organic waste. So now I want to explain a little bit how those parameters, the density, moisture content, and fraction of organic waste, how can they influence the entire chain of waste management, with how we frequently we collect, which vehicles we use, and what the treatment can be. So, as I said, in most low middle income countries, there's a high organic fraction, and this often means that there is also high moisture content. So this really goes together. So usually, ideally, this would mean we would need a more frequent collection if we do collect this waste, just to avoid odor leaches. Although there are also home composting methods, for example, that could be used. Now, about the vehicles, since organic waste can have these leaches and everything, ideal vehicles are not compacting the waste. So you can see on the picture an example as opposed to like some vehicles that compact the waste. And then, of course, the composting, as I said, is an option, but also anaerobic digestion. So depending on the amount of organics that is there, it's better than to sending it to landfills or incineration. Especially also organic waste has a low calorific value, so it would not generate a lot of energy from incineration, for example. And then the density is important also here for the collection trucks. Just simple trucks, even tricycles, that can actually carry the dense waste that you're collecting. So I will now go to the second aspect, which is governance. And you have seen probably in the MOOCs a couple of examples, but I just want to illustrate one quick example with a case study where different stakeholders were collaborating together, and it's showing how a successful waste management approach can be achieved. So I hope this will work. Can you see?
Program bank sampah ini sangat bagus, utamanya pada masyarakat karena lingkungan menjadi bersih, pendapatan keluarga bisa bertambah, dan kerjasama di antara masyarakat bisa terjalin.
Bank sampah itu dari, oleh, dan untuk masyarakat. Ya, dari dan oleh untuk masyarakat, maka masyarakat itu membuat sendiri bank sampah karena ingin menyelesaikan persoalan lingkungannya.
Welcome to Untia, a fishing village near Makassar on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. The village used to struggle with waste management, but after establishing a system of waste banks, the community now has a cleaner environment and is converting rubbish into income. This is the village's story of ending plastic litter. The Indonesian archipelago is a biodiversity hotspot. But like many developing nations, Indonesia faces a plastic pollution problem. The coordinating body on the seas of East Asia, COBSEA, supports countries in the East Asian seas to reduce and prevent marine litter. This initiative is made possible by COBSEA in partnership with the Worldwide Fund for Nature Indonesia, with funding from the United States Environmental Protection Agency. The aim is to strengthen Untia's system of waste banks. Untia's revitalized waste bank system sees recyclable items go on a journey from the home to the end of the recycling value chain. The process starts at the household level, goes through a series of waste facilities, before the final step sees the waste returned into the value chain by selling it back to industry to be used in new products, thus closing the plastic loop.
Jadi tujuan bank sampah dibuat itu pertama karena ingin lingkungannya bersih. Kemudian yang kedua adalah ada nilai sosialnya. Yang ketiga adalah ada manfaat ekonominya.
Let's have a closer look at the initiative. Step 1. Households. It all starts in the home. Community members are encouraged to separate their rubbish into plastic, paper, aluminum, and glass. Step 2. Local waste banks. As part of the initiative, 8 local waste banks were constructed across Untia. Community members bring their recyclable items to the nearest bank, and there the items are valued and the person receives money in exchange. Step 3. Material recovery facility. Untia's MRF is in a central location and it receives the recyclables from the waste banks. The facility was refurbished and reactivated as part of this pilot.
The revitalization of MRF in Untia covered the renovation of the building and provide some support and optimize the operation of this facility.
Step 4. Central Waste Bank. Once the MRF storage reaches capacity, the waste is transported to a central waste bank for further processing. Step 5. Closing the recycling loop. Then, from the central waste bank, the waste is on-sold to recycling industries and returned to the plastic value chain. The success of this initiative relies on the cooperation of many stakeholders. Technical assistance is provided by COBSI, Plastic Smart Cities WWF Indonesia, with funding from the US EPA. Activities on the ground are overseen by Yayasan Peduli Negeri and the Environmental Agency of Makassar City. With 8 active waste banks now operating in Untia, the community is banking 1 ton of plastic recyclables per month. This has led to a cleaner environment and extra income for hundreds of households. This successful and simple model can be expanded and replicated across Indonesia and the region.
Bayangkan saja nilai sosialnya, banyak ibu-ibu tua, ya, nenek-nenek, kakek-kakek, dia menjadi nasabah bank sampah, itu 1 tahun bisa 6-7 juta dia punya tabungan. Tabungannya ini untuk apa? Ternyata untuk bayar sewa rumahnya, beli kebutuhan rumah tangga. Artinya ada nilai sosial yang ditimbulkan daripada pengolahan bank sampah ini.
Berdasarkan manfaat yang dirasakan oleh masyarakat, alangkah bagusnya kalau program bank sampah ini tetap dilanjutkan, mengingat produksi sampah setiap hari di masyarakat itu selalu bertambah. Jadi pengelolaan sampah melalui bank sampah bisa lebih dimaksimalkan.
Right. So I really wanted to show this video because it shows how, with the example of specifically plastic waste, that how all different stakeholders are working together, from technical assistance part, also the government is involved, funding streams, households, different facilities. So it's a whole ecosystem and a business model that was built on that. So to finish with the governance part, we also know regulation and enforcement, having policies, laws in place is really important to also know responsibilities of different stakeholders, institutional capacities. Staff need to know how to deal with the waste fractions they're processing. And then we have social mobilization. So this is very much on households, communities, to inform them, communicate with them, engage with communities as much involved. And finally, we have economic instruments. So how do we incentivize people to actually segregate, or political will, of course, is an important part here as well. And briefly to the roles and responsibilities in waste management, and this is not always that it has to be like this, but this is an example of how usually we see how things work out. So there's the national level government, which comes up with policies, standards that should be enforced as well. There are funding mechanisms, and they're the regulators. Now, at the local level, it's mostly the local municipalities or local governments that are in charge of operating those systems, because also their waste streams are local. So it's also better to have a local collection, transport, treatment facilities. The private sector can sometimes also be involved. They can increase efficiency. They have investment potential in each step of the chain. Can be the different modes of, for example, public-private partnerships, and usually they're in close collaboration with the municipality and need some oversight. And then, as I said, communities or the informal sector are very important. They need to get engaged as well to segregate the waste already at the source. This is the most efficient way to actually treat different waste sources. And they're also very useful in collection in areas where the municipal trucks, for example, cannot reach. So there can also be a business model around that and having this recycling recovered. So next, I want to talk about the organic waste treatment, and you have seen there are many different options. So I don't want to go too much into detail about that, because I guess you have quite a lot of information on that. There's also the waste compendium, which provides a lot more information. So what I want to look at quickly again, like another video, and then talk a bit about another aspect of organic waste management. So it's another quick
besar ni dia
study.
Penduduk kat sini tak ramai, 20 orang saja. Keseluruhan penduduk kat sini bergantung pada sektor pelancongan. Cabaran yang dihadapi oleh penduduk di sini selain daripada monsun, kita juga menghadapi masalah-masalah untuk mengekalkan ekosistem yang ada. Contohnya sampah-sampah yang hanyut.
Kalau ikutkan pada data kita pada tahun ni, kita telah keluarkan lebih daripada 1,000 tan. Dan kerja-kerja pembersihan kita telah laksanakan lebih 2 minggu di kawasan pantai dan juga kawasan-kawasan pulau yang berhampiran.
Part of the integrated waste management project is also putting project bins all across the islands lah. So far, this is one of the examples.
I've been with TIC for a year specifically for this project lah. Waste management for solid waste, wastewater, and also about community development and sustainable tourism lah.
Our mission is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the Mersing Island. Since 2021, we've been running an integrated island waste management project in collaboration with UNDP.
We wanted to work on island waste management because there's a whole chain of logic where islands have a lot of food waste, and in that component of food waste, resorts are the biggest contributors of food waste.
That's why part of this project, we also do like organic composting lah. So we collect food and then we compost it using the machine, and then we create organic compost to use for community garden.
What basically can enter the composter is every type of food waste. Like we'll basically mix the food waste with sawdust, churn it so it stays inside the rider to be composted by like a bacteria culture. And after 2 weeks, it will produce like a semi-matured compost. Dan lepas dia keluar dari amput, kita akan letak dia dalam maturation bin untuk dia stay macam 2 bulan, 3 bulan, so that it mature lagi further lah.
Saya juga ada menternak lembu, kambing, kuda dan juga ayam Belanda. Di samping menarik tarikan pelancong, najis-najisnya boleh diguna pakai semula untuk kita punya kompos. Berharap kalau boleh, kita boleh menjadi contoh kan. Tapi nak jadi contoh, kita yang kena buat dulu. Benda tu boleh. Saya pun sedang mencuba yang terbaik untuk ke arah, orang kata, sustainable tourism.
We'd hope that there are like interesting learnings and a kind of a chocolate box of solutions that would fit for different communities.
The community's engagement in changing behaviors, the community's engagement in spreading the message, all of this is absolutely critical. So we go right from the get-go, we try to involve community. We in fact design the project through a series of community consultations.
Kita harap dengan adanya bimbingan dan juga galakan daripada pihak UNDP ni, kita sebagai agensi yang memantau local authority dalam daerah Mesir ni, kita dapat wujudkan suasana pelancongan yang akan memanfaatkan semua operator-operator, penyaga tempatan dan juga pelancong yang akan datang ke daerah Mesir.
Okay, so this was another example of how waste management can be a success. Again, also involving communities. But I think it's a really nice example where you can also see how they used the organic composting, had this facility, and then it was a circular approach where they would use it again for the community gardens. So yeah, I think it's a nice example. So what I want to focus on a little bit is that organic composting can really only work if it's just the organic fraction. So it has to be, so you can see here the entire chain from segregation, collection, up to either recycling, recovery, or disposal. And for it to work, you have to have separated waste. And when you separate the waste further down the line, it gets more and more complicated. So the idea is always to, if possible, segregate the waste at household level, at where it's generated. So this will ensure that you have quality waste that you can work with. You heard also maybe in the video previously that they were talking about manure and co-composting. So this is also an option, but facilities that do this, they need a waste fraction that is quite pure. And what you can also tackle is greenhouse gas emissions. Actually, the waste sector is around 8% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. So it contributes quite a lot, and this is mostly coming from organic waste that is not properly managed. So by separating the fraction and managing organic waste properly, you can really reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So how do we achieve this segregation? Because this is a lot of times the critical point, and households don't even segregate their waste, so it gets very hard to really separate the fraction later. And so here, a very important part is behavior change. So it's only by communicating with the households that you can achieve something. And here I want to stress again the approach that I briefly introduced yesterday, but it's been very much used in the solid waste management sector. So it's the RANAS behavior change approach. And for example, it can be used for different things across the solid waste management chain, but let's have the example of we want to achieve segregation. So that's your targeted behavior. And in this example, there was an intervention of providing the infrastructure, but you want to really understand what will make people segregate their waste. So there's more information on the entire approach to this behavior change. So you would evaluate the different factors like risks, attitudes, norms of people, basically how they think, what their beliefs are, what their opinions are, if they are uncertain, how confident they are in their ability to treat their the waste, not treat, but really know how to segregate, for example. So there are a couple of things you can look at, and then based on this, you would design a specific approach to, or campaign, how to change their behavior so that they start segregating. So yeah, it's an entire study on its own, but only like this you can really start seeing changes in households, but also businesses starting to segregate their organics. Yeah, so that was a brief introduction to that importance of behavior change. Now I want to talk about a very different waste fraction. So all types of special wastes, and I will focus on two main ones that you probably also have heard. But here you can see a couple of pictures. It can be all types of hazardous waste, and I'll focus more on e-waste and healthcare waste. So I just want to show this image here, the map, where you see how e-waste is exported worldwide. And so it's not a local issue, it's actually a global, it's a transboundary issue. And you can see that a lot of waste, e-waste, is transported, let's say from the US, from Europe, into places, for example, like Ghana. Maybe you have heard of the big e-waste dump site, Agbogloshi, in Accra. That is super challenging. Also there in China and other countries. So it's actually quite small amounts of waste, a bit higher in high-income countries with around 1% of the total waste. Lower middle-income countries is even lower than that, but it has a big impact. It has different substances, metals, plastics, really like a lot of different substances, which makes it really hard to recycle or to treat. So a couple of fundamental elements that really can help or need to tackle this issue would be to have formal recycling infrastructures. One key point is safe dismantling, because a lot of workers are not safely dismantling those materials, creating health hazards for the workers. So there are a couple of examples, and there are some documentaries also on that that can provide some protective equipment and safe places. Then in the bigger picture, protective laws, policies, and regulations countrywide need to be in place and need to be enforced for it to work. There are also streams that could be explored, like producer responsibilities, that they, for example, take back, or they should be accountable for the waste that they're producing. And of course, like, if there are already actors working in that space, that's always good to collaborate, and maybe there are recyclers already around. There could be these take-back schemes where you can give back your waste. For example, in Switzerland, where I am based, there is such a scheme where I know, like, my old phones or like my old e-waste, I can take it back to a certain place and where that can be then recycled. But it's not guaranteed everywhere, of course, and so smaller, decentralized workshops where safe conditions can be guaranteed are essential. So then the second waste fraction is healthcare medical waste. And this one is also very important because it's directly infectious. Like, there's a huge risk to infect if it's not properly disposed. So first of all, segregation, of course, is important because medical healthcare facilities, they also generate a lot of general waste. So this should be separated from the ones that are infectious. So different, of course, different wastes like bandages that have been contaminated are infectious. And then also another category that is important is sharp waste. Like needles that have been used to ensure that also informal waste workers are not affected by that. So you can see here some options would be to simply incinerate on site, at least to disinfect the part that is infectious. You can see an incinerator on the right. There's the famous incinerator that protects from open burning hazards. So also here can have a quick look at an example where a waste management project was put in place.
The youngest democracy in Southeast Asia, Timor-Leste is taking bold steps to address healthcare waste management, a vital issue for public health and environmental sustainability. With support from the European Union and SPREP, the Pack Waste Plus program addressed serious gaps in the safe management of healthcare waste in Timor-Leste. A national healthcare waste management strategy was developed to guide hospitals and health facilities across the country. To ensure that each facility could apply these standards effectively, a model healthcare facility waste management plan was introduced to ensure each hospital tailors safe waste solutions to its specific needs. To turn the strategy into action, a national training course was launched. Each participant developed a waste management plan specific to their facility as part of the training. On the ground, legacy contamination was addressed. 12 cubic meters of burned medical waste were safely removed from the soils surrounding Bakau Hospital, relocated to a designated landfill cell, and securely kept to prevent further environmental harm. To ensure long-term impact, 108 healthcare professionals received specialized training in proper healthcare waste management, promoting safe practices throughout their facilities. Training was delivered to 5 hospitals, and at the same time, incinerators were installed and commissioned in 3 major locations: Bakau, Mabise, and Suai. In Bakau, land contaminated from years of open burning was cleaned. Today it features new infrastructure that safely manages sharps and anatomical waste. Hospital staff now benefit from safer, cleaner working environments. Contaminated areas have been restored and new facilities are fully operational. A national waste guideline was also developed for Delhi and provisional governments to ensure that infrastructure ministries and regulatory bodies work together toward a shared standard. Community engagement has been vital to the project's success. By involving local leaders and healthcare workers, the project built local understanding and ownership of improved waste practices. Educational programs also provided knowledge and tools needed to protect both health and the environment for years to come.
Thank you for SPREP, and thank you also for the EU, and then I'd like to the Timor-Leste. And Timor-Leste is
I think I will just stop the video here. I think you got the big picture, and we are slowly running out of time, so I will want to have enough time to answer your additional questions. But yeah, another example of this time on-site treatment of this healthcare waste. And I guess you can also have a look at the documents they have produced can also be interesting. So the last thing I want to look at is strategic planning a bit, and especially the formal and the informal sector. So in informal sector, in the whole recycling system, in the collection and processing of recyclables are essential. So they really play a very important role. They collect from different, like from streets, dump sites, landfills. You can see an image from Vietnam, and they really create a big value also financially for the sector, and divert the waste from being in a landfill, for example. However, they're still ignored. Whenever the regular formal sector is working. So the policies are often not addressing informal sector workers, although they're really important. I had one last video that is a bit longer. Not sure if we should have a look at it. Maybe we can, so feel free, maybe in your free time, have a look. It's a really nicely made video, and it shows you how waste pickers really can make a difference, how they're important from collection to recycling the waste in the entire chain. But basically, to summarize a little bit, how can we involve those informal sector workers in the formal waste management system? So one is definitely to formally recognize them, and just to recognize that they're a crucial part of the entire system, and giving them things like permits, rights that they can generate some income, like access rights to the waste streams, having them also access some transfer stations, for example. Organizing them into cooperatives or microenterprises can also be beneficial, because then they can have a collective voice. They can negotiate collectively what they want to have. If they want to have better prices, it gives them a common voice. And then, of course, they can also be integrated through contracts. The municipal part is very important. It does waste collection, but oftentimes it cannot cover the entire city or the entire area. And so paying some cooperatives or informal sector workers for certain services can be beneficial. And of course, then also providing them with personal protective equipment, ensuring that they have social protections, that their health is not compromised. So that was all. I think maybe let's have some questions first. I was seeing there was quite a lot of chat activity, but I wasn't looking at it. Okay, I see Tokozani asking, do you have a practical example of zero waste in developing countries? Is it possible for one person to contact a school to do a project with them, even at no fee? So actually it's nice that you're mentioning a school, because that was the example I had in head. It was in Peru, in a rural area, where some colleagues actually of mine worked there as well. They create, and there is actually a manual, if you're interested in something like this, there is a manual of zero waste at schools that provides a couple of guiding steps, how you can achieve this. And I mean, of course, it's reducing the waste first. You will not go from having waste to zero waste, but it's small steps that you can take. And so it was mostly around segregation as well in the first place. but also reduction. So first, you always need to think of, do I really need this? For example, they had a small kiosk at the school that was providing small candies wrapped in paper. So they rethought the entire system, and then they just had a kitchen where they prepared fresh food, like small cakes that were not wrapped in plastic. So small things like that could, really start thinking from reducing the waste and then segregating the waste at the source. So yeah, I see that you would want to implement that. So that's a great resource I can share later on as well. Should I just go on with the questions, Rakeb?
Yeah, sorry, like my network I was having network problems. So let me just,
All right,
let me just read them for you. So I think for tax. I think I got you to
Yes,
Anisu.
exactly.
Okay,
Anisu.
so does the machine for organic waste composting use energy in the integrated waste management case study? So I think this was for the second video.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I mean, this video, I have not been working on that project, so I also don't know much more about it. But it seemed from the way we saw it, it was quite manual. So there is a potential of doing composting manually. You don't necessarily need energy to do composting. So I think they had like a manual where they were mixing the waste. I think they were saying with sawdust, they were mixing it and creating the compost. So it doesn't necessarily need energy, I would say.
Okay, thank you. So there's another question from Kate. How can markets effectively implement waste segregation at the source to improve recycling rates and reduce environmental pollution while ensuring traders actively participate?
Very great question. And I see Wellington has also replied to this.
Answered it.
Okay. So one thing, and I presented it already a little bit, is there's no one solution fits all, I would say, because different contexts will have different norms, beliefs. Things can really be tied to your beliefs or to what your neighbor is doing or like these kind of opinions as well. So having a behavior change study first to really look at those who actually segregate, why do they segregate? And why do the ones who don't segregate, why don't they segregate? And then based on what you find there, you can design your sensitization campaign in a very targeted manner. So that's when you can really get those who don't segregate to actually rethink why they should be segregating. And so that's how you can plan your campaign. And that's where you start having this behavior change. And then you can only reach this segregation at the source. And of course, like there's this part of behavior change that's like from the households, communities, or small shops themselves. But behind that, of course, there needs to be the infrastructure in place. So we have been involved in a project, for example, in India, where that was both parts were designed. So there was a big behavior change campaign, but also infrastructure and training of, for example, having smaller trucks collecting just the organic waste, and households were provided with organic waste bin and a general waste bin. And then the whole chain behind that, there needs to be a treatment facility for the organic waste, for example. So this has also to be developed. Yeah.
Yes, I think to add up on that, I think governments also play a key role in this area, especially in my country, in Ethiopia. They're trying to establish a comprehensive legal and policy framework for solid waste management. I know there are hurdles in trying to implement it, but when there's a better coordination across all levels of government, and so that can be able to bridge the gap between policy and like what's there locally in the reality. So I just wanted to add up on that. Okay, let's see if there are other questions. So I think Andrew has added something.
Yes,
so I think it's more of a comment.
Exactly. Maybe I can comment on this briefly. So he was talking about what I presented at the very end yesterday about, we call it a water challenge, but it's really a water plus anything water related, and waste can also be a part of this. So it's a challenge where we provide seed funding to youth-led innovative projects in the water sector, but also anything that touches water. So if you can, let's say, divert a waste fraction that would otherwise contaminate water, that could also be a project. So what we do, we provide seed funding of around $2,000 US up to that amount, so it's a smaller amount, and for you to implement the project throughout 1 year. And there's also 1 year mentorship from Swiss water experts that we can provide. So I think best is that you follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram. We always update what is happening, where you will find the resources to also create develop your proposal, what eligibility criteria we have. So yeah, feel free, or to also contact me.
If maybe you'd like to share more on the water challenge for people that were there yesterday.
Actually, I can do that since we still have 5 minutes. I can do a brief. That's all right. I can again. So I'll just go very briefly. I think you got the. Okay, it's just about who we are, and so we're a young team of people having initiatives for young people as well, to create more momentum in the water sector for young people. We're elevating voices of young people at international conferences, having mentorship, capacity development, trainings, creating networks, and now also this water award or funding. So as I said, the water challenge, we provide seed funding up to 2,000 Swiss francs for innovative youth-led projects. So it can be implemented across the world. It doesn't have to be just because we're Swiss Water Partnership Youth, doesn't need to be in Switzerland, it can really be across the world. And we want to have projects that can create an impact. And the 1 year mentorship as well. And there are a couple of criteria, but the most important one is that your team needs to be maximum 35 years old. So it can be across different thematic areas. If you look at past winners, there were things on treating wastewater to reuse in irrigation, menstrual health, menstrual hygiene management. The one on the right in DRC was a cleanup activity where they took plastic bottles out of the Lake Kivu and transformed them into eco-friendly materials. So there are a lot of waste projects as well that could be very interlinked with the water sector that you could think of. And just to share, this is an important deadline, the 30th of September. We had some engagements before, but now there's 2 months basically that you can develop your proposal and think of a project that you want to work on. And submission is by end of September. Yeah, and you can have a look at what we want you to tell us and what the eligibility criteria are. So exactly the links, maybe you can, I'll leave it on here for a minute or so that you can scan the QR code and yeah, follow us if you're interested in something like that. We will post regularly and keep you updated. I don't know if there were other questions. I saw some hands raised as well before, but I'm not sure, maybe that was clarified now. Maybe Anesu, I can see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you very much.
I think we can, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Marisa, for a wonderful presentation. So I just want to confirm that on the water challenge, I'm also one who is much interested in that challenge. And I think I have an idea for a proposal. So I don't know on the platform if we can actually get the template for the proposal preparation, or we can actually do the proposal from my side, and then I can share with you. And do I share the proposal for the idea that I do have? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anasu. I can send the link here while we are finishing. So what I can do is send you our post about the water challenge, and there are all the
yes, you can send the link.
Yeah, that are important. Yeah, let me just look for it quickly.
We can also share it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can also share it in the group chat. So whenever you can.
Okay. Yeah.
So since we are running out of time, I'd like to thank you for this insightful presentation. You're giving us a fantastic overview of what the theme of the Municipal Solid Waste Management course was, and also about the water challenge. Thank you so much. So just to reflect on the journey we've shared throughout this Green Masterclass, we've explored climate justice, renewable energy, green building, yesterday on household water treatment, and now on solid waste management. So even though each topic focuses on different aspects of sustainability, they're all highlighting the same message, which is our environment challenges are interconnected and we need to address them by collaborating and coming up with practical solutions. And as future leaders and change makers, it's our turn to focus on this. So I would like to say thank you for Marisa. And this is like a challenge for all of us. We need to think about different solutions. And I guess it will, we have to continue these conversations. Yes, so if there's anything you'd like to add, Marissa, I'll give you the chance.
Yes, thank you very much. No, thank you very much also, Crust EcoNetwork, for having me, for inviting me. I think it's been great to be here, to also see the interest on the topic of water and waste management. And I'm sure you have learned a lot of things during the past few weeks. And I really hope that you can integrate that in whatever you're doing, if you're motivated to create a hands-on project, or if you're will be working on wherever you are, in whichever sector you are, that you can really use those resources in a good way. And I'm also happy to see that many of you are attending. And yeah, great that I was able to be here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for everyone attending today. It was a great session. So I guess this is the time we leave. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Bye.